All right. So I'm going to unmute Dave.
Okay.
So what do I do up here? Where he is?
I just did.
Yeah.
Okay, so David.
Okay, so we're ready to go. Well, anyway, Darren, I'm glad to be friends with you. As you mentioned, just occasionally we'd see each other at some of the bigger meetings, and probably every couple of months I'd call you or you'd call me, and that was kind of it. And wow, here we are. So let me kind of back up quite a ways. When I was young, I was very, very shy. I thought it was going to be some kind of technical thing. I loved stuff like electronics and things like that. In fact, I joined the Navy when I was 24 years old, and took me a while to get around there. Why did I join the Navy? Because they had the best electronics program. And so I'm in boot camp at 24 with a wife and a young boy. And they said I wouldn't have to go on to sea if I joined a particular kind of program. And so pretty much I just sat at a bench and worked on black boxes. And it was really, really fun for maybe 6 or 8 months or something. And within about a year, the Navy completely cured me of any love I had for electronics. And the other thing that just kind of hit me was because of security and the stuff we were working on, the building had 0 windows, just fluorescent lighting inside. And it's Whidbey Island, so it's kind of up in the latitude. And so in the winter, be to work at 7. By the time I got home, it would be, go to work in the dark and come home and have a little bit of light, and pretty much everything else was artificial lights, no windows, and then just working on the very same boxes over and over again. So you pretty much had it memorized, the problem, what to do, and thinking, what am I going to do with my life? Because about that time, I'm 25 years old, 26 years old, and got a couple of kids now. And I'm looking around. Some people, they've got it all figured out by the time they're that old. And I still didn't know what I wanted to do. And the more I thought about electronics, I just thought, I don't think I want to do this for 40 more years. And about that time, I was invited by a friend in the Navy to come over to their house. And so we went over there, fully expecting that it'd be just he and his wife and me and my wife. And I had one of my best t-shirts on and just Levi's. And we walked in and the house was filled. They had all these Samsonite chairs set up in the living room, and everybody was dressed really well. They all had suits and ties on. Ladies had dresses, and I looked a little closer, and they all had their scriptures. And I'm thinking, oh goodness, I'm trying to remember. They didn't say anything about this, but maybe, or did they? And we're sitting there, and there's a kind of a feeling of when we're going to get started kind of thing, and they're putting off, and so there's a little, just a tiny tension, and they're talking about another couple they're waiting for, and the door knocks, and in come another very smartly dressed couple, but they walk in, and they've got this easel with a board, and they set it up in the front of the room and start drawing circles, and it's a business. And the more they talked, you could just kind of feel something going on in the room. And then right near the end, they wrote the words Amway on the top of the board, and everybody got mad and left. And I actually got excited. I had never thought of business before, but particularly what really impressed me was they talked about, you get a few people who get a few people who get a few people, and teach those people. And then they gave me a couple of cassette tapes and a book, The Magic of Thinking Big. And I remember just laying in bed that night, just that idea of teaching somebody an idea, and they teach somebody an idea, and the company tracks all of that, and you get a piece of that. And they quoted J. Paul Getty, a book who wrote How to Be Rich, and they talked about he'd rather have a 1% return on 100 men than 100% return on himself. And I just thought that's really cool. Listen to the tapes, got thoroughly excited, and I was forever different after that evening. And wow, never made any money in that. And then the next experience was a nutrition company. the next experience was a nutrition company. The next experience, and I winding up being not just interested in a business, but I really liked health products and got pretty good at it. And we had the opportunity to be at the kind of the front at the beginning of several of those companies, and I understood the principle of working hard in a growing environment, and never really got anywhere. But actually I did after about 12, 13, 14 years. As time accumulated, so did our kids. We hit a point where we had 9 kids, and we found this really wonderful company. And I'd actually hit a point where we could actually do it full time. Not that we were rich, but wow, it costs a lot of money to just feed 9 kids, just to be poor if you have 9 kids. And so we were doing pretty good. And then there was some integrity problems. Everything just kind of fell apart, and I had to go get a job. And I'm just thinking, oh my goodness. And I was living the dream. We had some of the most sophisticated, neat products. It was really a special company. In-house, they had their own manufacturing, their own scientists. And this is back in the 80s. And we had some really fancy products. I got really fussy and spoiled, and just had some fun. And then it all fell apart. And I had to go get a job. And I had a friend from church that owned Intermountain West Insulation. I really liked him. And so I started working for him with fiberglass insulation, making bids on homes. And all of a sudden, one moment I was doing things that were changing people's lives and wonderful. And the next time, all of a sudden, I'm selling insulation. And insulation doesn't make any difference. I just, all of a sudden, there was no purpose, and I wasn't making enough money. And oh, wow. And then I turned 40 years old after being there about a year, which was my commitment to be there about a year. And I just remember thinking, wow, here I am 40. I don't even know what I want to do when I grow up, but it's certainly not going to be insulation. And then I was thinking, all of those years, what did I have to show for it? Nothing. We were just the income wasn't there, but the debts were just kind of getting higher and higher. And my nose was getting, it just like, I'm going to die financially at any moment. I got to do something. And then I just started saying my prayers and looking and hoping, and kind of in my mind, I thought, okay, I got a job I hate. I dread it. I'm not making any money. There's no purpose. What would be the opposite of that? Well, the ultimate job would be making as big a difference as possible, and waking up in the morning and being excited about going to work rather than dreading it. But also, I really needed to make some money. And just a couple of months after just earnestly praying and searching, Niken fell into our lap. And I just thought, oh my goodness, this is it. We've got something wonderful. Being a product person, I was blown away with the power of those products, and being right at the beginning, it was exquisite. We actually made millions, and I lived happily ever after. We got so excited, we even had 2 more kids. So then we had 11, and well, we had at a point we had 5 kids in college at the same time. It just it was fun to just be able to do things, and it was wonderful until it just kind of fell apart. But I was just ever optimistically hopeful that it would turn around. And so I just kind of stayed there. But we had 10 years of really good growth, and then quite a few years of just steady decline, where year after year, each year was less than the other. Most of the other leaders went elsewhere. They got frustrated. It was just kind of driving everybody crazy. But I couldn't find anything that could get me excited. And so quite a few years went by, started kind of pushing with the corporate, what can we do to make it better? And they seemed to like it the way it was, which was just getting more and more frustrating. And then about not quite 4 years ago, I got a call from my doctor, and she told me I had these things called lesions. Lesions is not something you want in your body. 5 of them in my prostate, and now here's the thing that got me really nervous. I've got a friend about my same age, and he lived just down the street, and he was coming out of the same diagnosis and treatment, finishing up, and I'd see him shuffle around. I saw him age over the treatments. Talk to other people. You meet people because it's a fairly common thing that's going out there, and you see what they go through and what they're like on the other side. And I'm just thinking, wow, all those treatments, none of them are entertaining at all. and it leaves you worse off than before. And I'm just thinking there's got to be a better way. And so being in this business for so many years, you meet all kinds of wonderful friends and good people. And I had met Chip and Marcy Littlejohn many years earlier, and they had left a long time ago and were doing something else. And I heard a little bit about zeolite, and I'd heard the word. I knew it was used in a lot of different things, but I just thought, it's a big world out there. I can't take everything, and then I found out that Marcy took it because she had this really, really bad problem many years earlier, and they told her she had about 2 years to live. Very dire circumstances. The doctor told me that, hey, doesn't look like it's in your bone yet. You'll be okay, but you're not going to be the same after the treatment, kind of thing. And I'm just thinking, there's got to be something else. So I reached out and thought, well, maybe it'll work one more time for me. Long story short, it did. Less than 3 months after my initial diagnosis, I was having a biopsy, and they're looking around in there, and they have ultrasound so they can know where to stick the needles, and he couldn't find anything. I think I'm going to get out of the biopsy, which is not fun. 12 needles, one at a time. Okay, here comes the next one. Bump. Okay, only 11 left. Bump. Only 10. You're thinking, if you're curious, it's about the same pain level or discomfort as a good dental procedure. Emotionally, though, it's much more traumatic. but anyway, what was really wonderful is, he did tell me, I can't find anything, but he says, I highly recommend we just use your original image and we'll match it up and then we'll know for sure. So he did the procedure. A couple of days later, he called and he says, I've got some great news. It's gone. There's nothing there. And I just thought, I've got to let people know about this. And so I would refer them to Chip and Marcy. And it was just satisfying letting people know that there could be another way. And also along the way, we started talking quite a bit. And Chip and I would, besides talk about this wonderful product, we would commiserate. Because we were both in dying companies with wonderful products, but the opportunity wasn't there, and that's a lot of the fun too. It's fun to share a product, but it's fun to show people how to build a team, and there's just a great joy in being together with other people doing work that matters, and everybody's winning in that department rather than kind of being on a death march. Where the company is getting worse and worse. On his, the curve was even quicker. I remember him calling, it was about 2 years ago, and he says, well, I just got an email from the company. They're not going to pay us anything anymore. And he was doing really good. They were doing like $100,000 a month 10 years ago when I bumped into them, and when they were helping me, it was just a tiny fraction of that. And now it was nothing. And so I'm thinking, oh, what are we going to do? And then I ordered some more product, and most of the bottles were only half full. And I'm finding out that they're not using the license that Rick Deitch. It's not the Rick Deitch formula. In fact, there was a lawsuit going on with that company, and the judge says, okay, it looks like Rick's formula takes about 3 days to make, and something like 30 steps. You do it in about 3 hours with a lot less steps. looks like your formula is Rick Light. And so and I don't think it works as good, especially if they only give you half as much in the bottle. So I'm thinking, wow, I want the real stuff. And then it was just 2 years ago, coming up just about right now, I got a call from Chip, all excited. He says, I just got a call from Rick Deitch, the biochemist, and he asked me if he would help him with a new company to promote it. And he extended the call to me, and it did. It felt like a calling. I just thought, I've got to do this. But my sinking ship, I was still making really good money, and I just thought, I think I'll stay where I am. But on the other hand, wouldn't it be fun to use this as a test bench to just actually, maybe it's me, if I could go out and share this, and I could maybe do it vicariously through my son. So I called up my son, Isaac, who was a chiropractor. I figured he would be a good candidate because every chiropractor has a shelf with bottles of stuff. And he saw what it did for me. And so he jumped on it. And so I started just kind of doing it quietly away from my other business, talking to other people, and saw miracles happen, and the business started growing. And right at first, I was real hesitant. But after a few months, I really started kind of getting a little more interested. In fact, we were in Kalispell, and we have some good friends from that other company there. And they were still with the company, but they'd given up as far as the business, like so many had. And we were on a mountain bike together. But, when we first started riding, David Ann Mahoney, Ann said, okay, we're done. We love the products, but we're never going to do the business. We're done. We are done. We're done. And so I thought that meant that they didn't want me to try to get him excited one more time. And so we just kind of, so we're riding, and I just says, hey, Dave, how old are you? And we're almost the same age. And he had just retired at that point. And I says, well, retirement, that sounds pretty final. So would you, if the right thing came along, would you like to, have another career? Would you like to do something? He says, oh yeah, of course. And so we're just riding, having fun. And then on the way home, I just told, would you like to hear my story? And I told him what had happened, and I told him about my son, and gave him something to listen to. And the next morning they called and says, can you come over and see us? And it was the most wonderful thing. Anne specifically, who said, we're so done, we're done. Her eyes were shining. Dave too. They were just, they were all excited. It's fun to be enthusiastic and on fire, and they were. And they says, we want to do this. And at that moment, I just thought, I've crossed the Rubicon. It's going to get out now, and it did. And so I'm starting to have some conversation with that company, with the leaders, with the corporate. And essentially we come to the conclusion, I got to decide. Well, a few months later came by, and we hit diamond in that company and making some really good income and starting to feel pretty frisky. And then I get a call from the owner of that company, and he says, hey, I know what you're doing. I know it's not just Isaac, kind of know who you are. Will you come and talk to us? And I said, when do you want to? The sooner the better. And so they bought Valerie and I tickets. We went back there, and I remember agreeing to come. And I remember just thinking, if I go back there, I'm going to quit my 30-year other career. And sure enough, we did. I came back and resigned, and it felt so good because now I could just openly say, it's me. Before it was awkward. I was trying to do it right, that it was Isaac's, but then I didn't want him to be a trust fund baby and have him get too much money. And what am I going to do with all that income that's coming in? And so anyway, we're able to adjust all that kind of stuff. And so here we are. And so several months went by being a diamond, just having so much fun. What I loved about it was all of the magic that we had at the beginning of the other company. People were having miracles happen with their the products. I had people that wanted to have a business but had never succeeded before, and they were. Everything was just doing really well. To me, it was like business Camelot for over a year, and until it wasn't. And oh goodness, and I won't go into a lot of the details why, but there was some big problems, and at that point, it happened kind of again. And this was just last summer. I remember reaching out to Neil and said, "Why don't you just start your own company? Everything's in place. You could do it." And they said, "Oh no, that's too much work." And so they didn't. So let me tell you a little bit about what's happening right here. And I think along the way that got me really excited is we did one more venture, and it's kind of some awkward things. But I think the main thing was there's another guy besides Rick Deitch, the biochemist. There's Gary Samuelson, the atomic physicist with a medical degree. That's kind of really cool. Well, with the last company, a couple of the corporate people, including the founder, had some really serious stuff that's kind of going around with everybody, and they gave him some silver, but it's not just silver. It's something that's very, very unique. Now, silver's been around for a long time, probably thousands of years, as just real famous. As an example, before refrigeration came in, dairy farmers would throw a silver dollar in the milk pail, and that would extend the freshness time of the milk. And so just along that idea right there, when silver is in contact with pathogens, it just messes them up. And that can be either a fungus or bacteria or a virus. All of the bad stuff is very vulnerable to silver, and yet friendly bugs aren't bothered by it. So it's just a wonderful natural thing. But Gary talks about this idea. What if you could take that silver dollar and throw it in the milk pail, but instead, what if you could slice that right down through the center so it was only half as thick and throw that in? Essentially, the surface area would be almost the same. Well, if you did it again, it'd be 1/4 amount of silver, but practical purposes, the silver surface area would be the same. Well, imagine if you could somehow do that 1,000 times. So it was super, super thin, but that surface area on both sides, it'd still essentially be the same. And that's kind of the idea if you think about colloidal silver, is it's tiny, tiny particles. And that's been around for a long time. Well, Gary took that idea of slicing it down millions of times even smaller than that. So if you could kind of bring up to scale that a colloidal silver particle was the size of a school bus, his particles would be the size of a matchbox car. And so much of the factor of how silver works is it needs to be in physical contact. That's how the biology of the silver works. And so what he has managed to do with his nanotechnology is make particles that are consistently about 7 nanometers in diameter, just perfect spheres, and they're all uniformly that. And so a drop of this stuff would have over 1 trillion spheres. And so it greatly helped all of those people. Well, what was beautiful about the last company is Gary and Rick joined together, and it was really fun because we had 2 takeout products. We had 2 products that did not supplement the body, but they looked like supplements, but they actually took things out. One took out heavy metals and toxins and toxins and aromatics and that kind of stuff. The other took out pathogens or germs and stuff. But all along the way, what was just fascinating was getting to know Gary and Rick, is they've got a long and storied track record of being geniuses in developing product that over years has sold millions of bottles of stuff, millions, and have helped lots and lots of people. They have a pretty good reputation. A lot of people know of them. But again, all of that time has been working for other people. Well, just me personally, I'm thinking, okay, if I just go back a year, just 1 year ago, I was still making big bucks with my original company, although frustrated because it felt more like an annuity for work I'd done 25 years ago. But nevertheless, it was the money was there. But you know, the more you get into working, though, you realize we work for purpose, and that was driving me crazy, making money but not really being able to add value to other people that much. And so that was the next company, working with Rick, gave me that. Valerie told me, she says, you're younger, you're more alive, and it was just the wind beneath my wings. It was so good for my heart and soul this last year. And but I never imagined that I would be so circuitous, going around so many different things. And so here we are at this moment. You and I, Darren, we're in a company that's just a few weeks old, and we couldn't be more excited. And as you've mentioned, you know, you calling some stalwart workhorses, and they say, well, I don't know. Startups usually don't last, and that's the statistical reality. Is most companies that begin a year or two later, they're not around. And what's kind of fun about this, though, is why did they fail? It's real. You know, there's a reason for everything. There's a reason for success and a reason for failure. Most of the companies fail because well, they don't know what they're doing. They're inexperienced. They're not capitalized. What is the product or anything? And so you kind of look at if you are in control of all the variables yourself, you know, then your dream is a very measured risk. But if you're in control of enough of those things, it becomes almost inevitable. And that's what I just feel so good about this, because everybody that is involved has already been to several rodeos already successfully. And so the only thing new is they're doing it for themselves, which I would think, well, even more so it's going to succeed, because there's nothing like working for yourself rather than being frustrated. You know, Rick and Gary have told me, you know, the ideas of, well, Rick just mentioned a few days ago, working for another company. And one of his passions is fiber. And when you understand what's going on, and that is the kind of the popular thing right now, you know, gut health has to do with everything to do with health. That seems like that's the Achilles heel of human metabolism. And if your gut's healthy, you're healthy. And so much of that is fiber. I got to just put a little thing here. Betty Kamen, she's passed on, but she was one of the world leaders in health. And she said something that really stuck in my mind, that we just don't eat enough fiber. We don't eat enough anything, right? But specifically fiber. She says you go anywhere in the world and there's a direct proportion or inversely proportional. She says anywhere in the world, the bigger the stool, the smaller the hospital. The smaller the stool, the bigger the hospital. if you know what a stool is. So anyway, we just don't have enough fiber, and so Rick talked about, you know, making this wonderful product that he was so proud of for a company, and he was speaking at the meeting there, and he had a 45-minute talk on all the good stuff that was in his fiber product, and then one of the corporate guys got up right after and says, all this stuff that you heard Rick say, forget it. I'm going to show you how to make some money. and so he just felt so frustrated. And I think every company or every organization has a personality. You know, birds of a feather do flock together. And What I've been involved in is companies that attract, I believe, people that are idealistic and want to change the world, and they love reading labels, and they love products that work. My thing is I want to use it myself, but also I want to be able to sell it to my mom in good conscience. This is stuff that we really believe in, and all of a sudden here we are at a level where we've got two scientists that are fanatic about product, and they don't have to cut corners, because typically you can imagine this scenario. If you're going to a vendor and you say, okay, this is how much I want to spend, and maybe if you're the vendor, you're researching and you got this really cool stuff, and they say, no, that's too much. We're not going to pay for that. We're not going to pay for this. Is how much we're going to pay, and you got to take things out. But also, that big company I was with for all of those years. Here's an interesting thought. If you look at them, when they come out with a product, it's someone else that developed it. It's someone else that's making it. They have another place that's fulfillment, that's where they warehouse it and ship the stuff out. All of these moving parts, they all want a piece of the action, and also it adds delay and cost. Think about this. Here's two scientists. They have their own research laboratory, their own manufacturing, state of the art, and they'll ship it right out of there. So everything is under one roof. It's all, we have it all together in one place. And then we have, for a CEO, a guy that he's also a physicist, an atomic physicist. He went to West Point. He was going to do the Navy nuclear program, but he was working at a drugstore, and he decided he loved people, and he's super ambitious, very smart. And he was in a growth environment, and all of a sudden he's the president of Rite Aid. That's just because they kept acquiring more and more stores. And so here's a guy that's been in an organization with over 1,000 stores doing billions. And then he fell in love with network marketing through Rexall when they decided to go network marketing. Rick Deitch, among other companies he represented, he was the science officer for that company and formulated all of their products, and they became friends. And so just that right there, Rick and Neil have been business partners and friends for about 25 years. So a lot of us have been together for quite a while. We play well together, and I've never heard any of these guys tell lies or anything. They're real straight shooters. And this is going to be really easy for Neil to run this. He knows how to run businesses, and he knows and loves network marketing, and he's already very well to do. This is not some deal to make some money with. Everybody that's involved, we're on a mission, and it's just the coolest thing. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. That I just look, okay. Anybody that's heard of these guys, I think they're going to be attracted. But just this story, if you don't know anything, just let me kind of rehearse this. Okay, here's two brilliant scientists. One is an atomic physicist with a medical degree. The other is a renowned pharmacological and nutritional biochemist with his own lab and manufacturing that has made stuff for years and years for lots of people, category creating, like that zeolite. Zeolite's been around a long time, but he was the first to innovate by making it small enough so it would go systemic. His is the first, and he keeps making it better and better. And right now, it was just last July where his manufacturing line that creates that was just improved upon, and he's got enormous capacity, but the level of refinement, it's the best that he's done. And you put all this together, and then it's brand new. And in fact, it isn't even network marketing yet. That's probably going to be in May, which we think, oh, May, oh my goodness, that's only a month away. But what we have is a head start. I hear stories of people that are inside traders. They hear about some corporation that's getting ready to go public, and they have the opportunity to buy stock before everybody else does, which just isn't fair. But in a real sense, what's kind of fun is you and I and all of us listening here, we have inside information. We have knowledge that most people don't know about yet. And if we take that knowledge and act on it, like you and I are, wow, Darren, this would be a great opportunity in May or June or July. Still very few people know about it and getting in there. But what if you got in a pre-launch and you're going around and saying, hey, let's get ready. And so when the gate opens, we already have our running shoes on, and so do our friends. What if you had 100 people to launch at the same time you did, rather than, yeah, I'll just kind of dabble and yeah, there's plenty of time. No, get some urgency in you and just think, you know what? I wonder how good I am. I wonder if I ran as fast as I could, what I could do. Have I ever ran as fast as I could? And that was a thing that happened to me 30 years ago. I was praying for something and it fell into my lap. And I just thought, is there anything better that's going to come along? Maybe not. I better do this. One of my greatest fears was to die and still have half a tank of gas in me. I never used myself up for anything. And I'm so excited. I tell people, that next month I'll be 72. May. What a neat birthday present to be in a whole new company. And I'm telling people that 72, I'm having a midlife crisis. So I'm starting a new business. But that's kind of where we are, and I just couldn't be more pumped. In a practical sense, there's a lot of things that help you live longer and live better. Well, that's our product line, but I think also meaningful work. Being anxiously engaged in a good cause. The reality is, I was reading something, and it said that people that actually have a massively transformative purpose and they can articulate it, so they really know what it is, they live about 7 years longer than someone who can't, or who doesn't have that purpose. And I would submit to say, not only would you live longer, but you would live better. Because maybe you're living, but if you can't get about very well, or maybe you got an oxygen tube in your nose and you look down and, oh my goodness, where did that oatmeal, get up and live. We just got back from skiing earlier today, and I love being able to do stuff. And here's a company that, oh goodness, it's going to be a lot of fun. So those are some of my thoughts.
Dave, I was going to, touch on one person that you forgot about is Doug. Doug being the VP position and stuff, Doug Dickey.
Uh-huh.
I talked to him a little bit, before the Zoom and stuff like that. And he's a great guy to talk to on the phone. I didn't know I was going to be on the phone that long, because I had some questions for him and stuff, but he proceeded to tell me quite a bit. And he got me even more excited than when I'm already excited, because, every time I call you, I'm like, Dave, are you excited? And of course, your response is, yeah, I am. And of course, I am too. Well, now he's got me even more excited. So I'm like, well, here comes sleepless nights now. But I mean, having him where he is and stuff, and, offering help and do 3-ways and stuff like that. With all the businesses I've ever been in, for someone in that position to offer that to you, that's never happened. I think it's great, and like you, I mean, 3 days ago, we hadn't talked, so I was just doing what I was doing. But 2 days ago, when we were talking about it and stuff, and you were telling me about this, and I, honest to God, was going to tell you no, and I'm glad I didn't. And, I said, well, how much is it to get in? And you told me, and I'm like, sign me up. And I've been going kind of crazy since then. In fact, it was yesterday morning sometime. I'm like, my wife and I were together, and I go, let's call Terry. And then it was a snowball after that. I just was calling. I was calling so many people. I was getting to a point where I'm like, hey, I forgot to eat breakfast. I got to eat something. And, it's just when you're doing something like this and it's fun, it's not actual work. And you're enjoying it. And, the products themselves, I mean, we ordered some stuff and we can't wait for it to get here because, I mean, my story and a few others do, but, January 12th, 1985, I was a victim of a bully, and this is going to be a long story short. I've had 8 hip operations. I'm on my 3rd artificial hip. It's 5'6" when it originally happened. And I'm 6'10", so I grew a little bit, kind of stick out in the crowd. But I have chronic pain, and the thing is, the kind of attitude that I have towards life is that I have fun. And even though I'm in chronic pain, and my wife will see me walking around like a caveman sometimes, I still have a very positive attitude. And I know that just from the people that know me, through my friends, social media, whatever, I've got a pretty big following. I don't know what this stuff will do for me pain wise, but even if it touches it, everyone's going to know about it. And if it really touches it, everyone's going to know about it. I'm just excited. I keep thinking of, who can I talk to about this? And, there's been people in the past that told me, they never want to do network marketing, and then they join because of they see the potential. When you get into network marketing, you've gotten in when it's already established, and you're thinking, man, I wish I would have been in, with this company when it was in the pre-launch stages and stuff. And now that opportunity is here, and I'm sharing it with people, and they're like, yeah, I'm on board. They're quite impressed with the products. And, we got 4 products right now that I know enough to be dangerous, explain the basics of it and stuff. But it's like, I don't know what it's going to do for you. Just, get it and use it. I don't know what it's going to do for me. I can't wait for it to get here. So, I'm glad we're doing this Zoom and stuff. I plan on doing this weekly. Doug said he would come on the Zoom next week and do this, for people and stuff, and just, tell his story, his magic, what he knows and stuff. And I think this is great. I'm excited to be partnered up with you, Dave, because, I know you've wanted me to work with you for quite some time, and other things in the past, I just didn't grasp the concept. I think I was just in a different place in my life. Timing is everything when it really comes to everything. And then something, I don't know what it was, Dave. I think I just got really darn excited about this opportunity. And I don't know how many times I've called you in the last 2 days, but it's probably more in the last 2 days than the entire time I've known you, which is saying something. But I'm like Dave. I look at the integrity of the company, the people involved. This is different. I've told Dave this several times. I'm like, this is going to be solid. This is going to be huge. I brought my wife on board and stuff. She has a totally different approach than I do. She's more on the product side of things, and I'm about building teams and stuff. I thought about bringing her on here. I don't know if she would want to, talk a little bit about her approach, because it is different than mine. Let's see if George is available. I don't know if you guys heard that. I was across the house. She said, hold on. Did you guys hear that? I was doing a Zoom the other day because I'm still in another company. And I was on a Zoom, and she was in the kitchen where she's at now, and she sneezed. I'm clear on the other side of the house, and they're like, what was that? And I go, well, that was my wife sneezing.
So it's interesting because network marketing is completely a new concept for me, and just new in the fact that it's something that Darren's been doing for years. But before I met him, I had no idea what it was. And it's still all a little fuzzy to me as far as, the concept itself. But where my comfort zone is talking about the products and talking to people as customers, and sharing the benefits and sharing the, all of the upsides, which there are so many upsides to this company in regards to, commitment and pricing we placed an order last night and it's already been shipped, which is unheard of. And so, I'm not as comfortable doing the team building. That's just not my specialty. But I have really good luck because when I'm excited about something, when you see me, what you see is what you get. I'm not false in any way. And so when I'm talking to people that I know, they know that I'm sincere, and I'm so excited about these products. And I'm so excited about the company and the opportunity that it is bringing to our family. I kind of wish that I didn't have a full-time job so that I could do this all day long. But I love what I do as my day job. So that's my take on it. Again, not everybody is, comfortable with the team building side of it. But I think that if I decided that I wanted to, I think the company and the product speak for itself. So I think it's just a matter of having those conversations and like Dave has said, just, sharing the products, sharing the information, sharing the excitement. I think that we are in for a heck of a ride, and I am really, really excited. And I'm really glad that Dave reached out to Darren and brought him into this, because this is a super, super duper thing. I haven't seen Darren as energized and as excited as he is right now. And when he goes to bed, like when he went to bed last night, he was tired. And that's just that mental tired of going a million miles an hour all day. But I mean, that's all I have. Again, my focus is always going to be on the products themselves and sharing the information that I have with other people. But who knows? You never know what a couple months can mean. Maybe I will quit my day job and do this full time. I don't know, but it's nice to have the opportunity and the option there.
Option is a good word. I love options.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that when Georgia and I pass in the hallways and stuff like that, or in our house, because her office is next door to mine, because we both work from home. But if something exciting is happening and she sees me and I'm like, oh, she's like, that's good. So that's happened quite a few times in the last 2 days, Dave.
Yeah.
So
it's exciting stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, it's, this is just day 2 for us, talking to Doug, and whenever we really launch and stuff like that. I told you, Dave, I said, it's funny, you used a number the other day on how many people, let's say you bring on a team of 500. I'm like, is he in my head? Because that's my plan, is to bring on 500 people before this launches and just go, Dave, we got to put these people somewhere. How am I going to do this? So we're going to have a mess on our hands, which is a good thing to have. Good. Did you guys hear that again? Just came across the house. Good mess. We don't need an intercom system. It just echoes.
You think about, could I get 500 people? And if you thought of it in linear terms, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that would be hard to do that. Hang on, I got 3 grandkids living with me.
Oh no, I'm responsible all by myself. I have a lot of fun. I mean, you guys never judge a book by its cover. You don't prejudge anyone. If you guys have done things like this again, or in the past, never prejudge anyone.
This is different than anything else. And
yeah,
all of a sudden you just think, well, and like you, I thought, okay, because last time you and I talked before this, you were all excited. You were talking about, you had this leg and, this a binary company. And you were 30 people down or something, and just having so much fun. But then I just couldn't get you out of my mind. I just thought, hey, I shouldn't decide for you. I should let you have that opportunity. And besides, a thing that's in my mind that I've just memorized, and it's an action phrase, is if you don't ask, the answer is always no. So the worst thing that'll happen is no. Well, if you don't ask, then it's already a no. And then the thing is just action conquers fear. And maybe just a little thing that stuck in my mind. Earl Nightingale, he's got an album called Lead the Field, which I highly recommend. It's one of the best things you can get. But also he tells a story where he was a chaperone, and it was a high school dance, and it's kind of a little bit slow, and he's sitting next to his son. And across on the other side of the dance floor is this just pretty girl sitting by herself. And he notices that his son is looking at her, and he says, "Why don't you ask her to dance?" And you know, the boy just kind of tensed, and he said, "Well, I think she'd say no." And then he explained that. He says, "Well, if you don't ask, automatically it's a no." And he says, "You know, anytime in life where there's everything to gain by trying and nothing to lose, you should do it, and do it now." And he just thought a minute, and you know, everything to gain, nothing to lose. If you don't ask, answer's always no. And he muscled the courage to go over. And a moment later, he's dancing with a pretty girl on the dance floor. And I think that's such a wonderful thing. And that happened to me. I was at a dance, and I asked this pretty girl to dance. And then right after that, they said, "This will be the last dance of the evening." And I'm dancing with with Valerie, and to make conversation, I says, "Well, what do you want to do when you grow up?" And she says, I want to be a mommy." So anyway, I've filled her wildest expectations. We got 11 kids, but it was kind of a funny thing. I asked her, what if I hadn't? My whole life would be completely different. And after the dance, I walked her to her car. We wound up talking for a long time, asked her out again, and 6 months later, we're married. and it's powerful, that ask and you shall receive. So yeah, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. So just this is a fun business where everybody's a prospect. Everybody needs this stuff. Everybody's heard of heavy metals. Everybody knows about toxicity and body burden, but they don't know about where you could just go like this, and moments later, it's moving around in your blood, in your lymphatics, looking for bad stuff to take out. It's just, wow. And it could change your whole life.
You know, my wife always says, I learned this from her, it kind of got us in trouble, because I said, we always say it's free to ask. And, you know, free to check it out, free to ask, free to look at, you know, what's the worst can happen? Nothing, you know. I've gotten no's, and that's okay. I was kind of excited. I was like, woohoo, you know, and in this business, you're going to get no's, and that's okay. The thing is, you know, when you hear people talk about, you know, 3-foot rule, if people are within 3 feet of you, you know, talk to them. I have a rule that if I can see them, I'm talking to them, you know, and I've always been like that. That's just how I'm wired. And my wife is like, "You talk to everybody." I was like, "I sure do." And now I'm rubbing off on her, so she's talking to more strangers. So it's kind of fun.
And everybody knows a couple of hundred people if they really think about it. And of course, one of the things why we don't do something is we don't know what to say. And so I'll just give you a script, and it works really well because it harnesses two things that are inside all of us. We love to help our friends, and we love to voice our opinion. You know, so think about those two things right there, and then let's just do a little role play to kind of finish this off. And so
Okay.
You're my friend. I've known you for years, and so this is a phone call. So I'm just going to get on the phone. And so, hello, say,
Hello.
"Hey, is this Darren?"
It sure is.
"Hey, Darren, Dave Johnson. How are you doing?"
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
"Oh, really good. I've been thinking about you. Have you got a minute?
Sure.
Oh,
What do you
okay.
got?
Well, actually, I called to, I need your help. Would you do me a personal favor?
Sure. What do you got?
Okay, now, it isn't like I've got a flooded basement and come over and help me with that, anything like that. I just would like to get your opinion because I just watched, it's a 5-minute long YouTube video, and it's a biochemist talking about something that I believe could change everything that big. And it has to do with health. And that's another reason I wanted to talk to you, because I know we're both interested in health and you're a smart person. If I text you that link, would you watch it? And maybe I could just give you a call tomorrow and just tell me honestly what you think. Would you do that for me?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, anybody can do that. And then you just do it over and over and over again. And then what makes it really powerful is you're not invested in the outcome. You're not thinking, oh, no, we're just invested in what we have control of. And that's how many people we talk to, and saying something that works. What I'm doing right there is it gets you curious enough to take a look. And then the video is Rick, who is very good at what he says. So we don't have to be really good at explaining this product. Eventually we will be good at explaining it, but that's not as duplicatable. If I said it really well and I said clinoptilolite, and you says, what? I don't think I could ever learn to say that. Whatever. If all it is just, I need your help. Would you do me a personal favor? I know we're both interested in health. I'd like to get your opinion. It's a video. It's 5 minutes long. It's a biochemist talking about a breakthrough product. I'm saying that real easy because I've practiced it, and all of those are really good words that flow well together, and it works. In fact, I could say, would you do me a favor? And that'd probably work. But if I even make it better, would you do me a personal favor? And
As long as it's legal.
Yeah, that's right. And so we say all of those things and compliment you. You're a smart person. That's why I'd like your advice, and I know you're already interested in health. All of that stuff works together. And so, and then you just do it and do it and do it. And over time, what you do daily compounds. And then how do you get 500 people? Well, what if you could recruit 6 people? You could do that. And what if they recruited 6 people? 6 times 6 is 36, 6 times 36, all of a sudden 500. Oh my goodness, it could actually happen. And then we're doing a call with Gary Samuelson, the atomic physicist, this Saturday. It's going to be a Zoom, and he's going to tell his story and a little bit about the silver. So Saturday AM, if you need the link, you can call Darren or me or somebody. We've got the word out, and again, if you don't ask anybody to come on that Zoom this Saturday, they won't be on. That's the thing I've discovered is everybody that's on a Zoom, all of the people I'm looking at here, David Peak, Darla, Brenda High, Al and Sandra, we asked them if they would join us. If I hadn't asked them, they wouldn't be on right now. What a concept. If you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Right.
So anyway, I think we ought to go for it. And let's see, we only got 1 hour left on the Zoom. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, let's go back to work. But hey, this was so fun. Let's do it again.
Definitely.